She blocked the road with her SUV and shouted, "You can't close this gate! This is our community road!" Her voice cracked through the cold morning air as I stood there, holding the new padlock I'd just installed. I didn't even answer at first. I was too tired from the past few weeks of her nonsense. Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA next door, had been watching my every move since I bought the old ranch beside their neighborhood. The crazy part? My land wasn't even part of their HOA. But Karen couldn't handle that. The moment I put up a wooden gate at the entrance, just to keep my cattle safe, she went off the rails. "You can't block public access!" she screamed, waving some printed HOA road maintenance policy in my face. I almost laughed. "Karen, this is private ranch land. That road? It's been on my deed since 1978, I said calmly, locking the chain while she fumed. Her eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that," she hissed, snapping pictures of the gate with her phone like she was a detective. I could feel the tension building. Deep down, I knew she wasn't going to stop here. She wanted control. She always did. The next morning, I found a bright orange notice nailed to my fence. "Unauthorized gate. Remove immediately or face HOA penalties." I actually laughed out loud reading it. Penalties from who, Karen? My land wasn't even in her jurisdiction. That night, I saw headlights creeping up the road again. Karen's voice echoed faintly from behind my gate. "You're going to regret this." She was on speakerphone with someone, whispering like she had backup. I didn't say a word. I just reached into my truck, pulled out the folder with the land survey maps, and smiled to myself, because she had no idea who she was messing with. By sunrise, I heard tires crunching on gravel again. I walked out with my coffee and saw two men in reflective vests standing beside Karen. She had that smug little grin that always meant trouble. "These are county inspectors," she announced proudly. "They're here to remove your illegal gate." I sipped my coffee slowly. "Illegal?" I asked. "On my own land?" Karen crossed her arms. "This road connects to the HOA's trail system. You can't restrict it." One of the men started mumbling about a possible easement, clearly reading from whatever paper she had handed him. But I noticed something odd. The county logo on their forms looked off, like it had been photocopied. I decided to play along. "All right," I said calmly. "Before you touch that gate, just wait a second." I walked into my cabin, pulled out a thick folder from the cabinet, and came back out. The folder had my official land deed signed by the county recorder with maps showing clear property boundaries. I laid it across my tailgate and said, "Show me where it says your HOA owns any part of this road." Karen's grin faltered. One of the inspectors looked uneasy, mumbling, "Ma'am, maybe we should verify this first?" She shot him a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "No, he's bluffing. Cut that lock." The second guy hesitated, looking between us. That's when I noticed a badge tucked under his vest, plastic, shiny, like something from a Halloween costume. My gut told me something was off. I pulled out my phone and said quietly, "You boys wouldn't mind showing your county ID, would you?" Karen stepped forward, her voice trembling with anger now. "You don't talk to them. You're violating HOA law." I looked straight at her and said, "Karen, there's no HOA law on my land." Her face went red, and before she could bark another order, the two inspectors jumped back in their truck and sped off, leaving her standing there fuming in the dust. She screamed after them, then turned to me, pointing a shaking finger. "You'll pay for this. I'll bring real officers next time." I smiled, locking the gate again. "Perfect," I said. "Make sure they're real ones this time." But deep down, I knew she would, and that was exactly what I was waiting for. 2 days later, I was fixing a fence post when I heard sirens echoing down the dirt road. My heart sank, but I kept my head steady. Karen had finally done it. I saw her standing proudly beside two sheriff's deputies, waving her arms and pointing straight at my gate like she'd just uncovered a crime scene. "There he is," she shouted. "That's the man illegally blocking a community road." The deputies got out, calm but serious. One of them, a tall man with mirrored sunglasses, walked up to me and said, "Sir, we got a call about a possible property dispute. Can we talk?" I wiped my hands on my jeans and nodded. "Sure can, officer, but I think you've been given the wrong information." Karen butted in, practically foaming at the mouth. "Don't listen to him. He forged property papers and blocked our HOA's access road." The deputy raised a brow. "Ma'am, please let me handle this." He turned back to me. "Do you have documentation for your property line?" Without saying a word, I pulled the same folder from my truck bed. The deputy opened it, flipping through the official maps and notarized deeds. His eyes lingered on the county seal and legal survey. Then he looked at me and said, "This looks legit." Karen's face twisted. "No, it's fake. He's lying." The second deputy stepped closer to her. "Ma'am, calm down. This document is filed with the county. It's legitimate." Karen wasn't listening. She lunged toward the gate, shaking it violently. "He can't keep us out. My husband helped fund this road." I finally spoke, my voice low but steady. "Ma'am, your husband's HOA paved their half. This one's mine. You don't get to own both sides just because you like control." The deputy sighed and turned to Karen. "Ma'am, unless you can show ownership or a recorded easement, you need to leave." She froze, her mouth open but no words coming out. Then she tried one last move, pulling out her phone. "I'll show you the HOA map," she yelled, tapping at her screen. The deputy looked, frowned, and said, "That's a PDF, ma'am, not a legal record." Karen's phone slipped from her hand, and for the first time, I saw fear replace arrogance in her eyes. But as the deputies left, one of them quietly leaned in and said to me, "You might want to keep a camera up here. Something tells me she's not done." I nodded slowly. Already installed 3. Because what he didn't know was I'd been recording the entire thing from the start. That night, I reviewed the camera footage from every angle. The fake inspectors, the deputies, and Karen's meltdown. Everything was crystal clear. I copied it onto a flash drive, labeled it neatly, and tucked it into my desk drawer. Experience had taught me one thing. People like Karen always come back for round 2. Sure enough, just after midnight, I heard the crunch of tires again. Headlights swept across the field, stopping right in front of the gate. I stayed quiet inside the cabin, lights off, watching through the window. Karen stepped out, this time with a crowbar in her hand. She was whispering on her phone, probably thinking she was being slick. "Yeah, I'll remove this lock tonight. He won't even know till morning," she said. She started prying at the chain, grunting with effort. The sound of metal scraping was like nails on a chalkboard. I picked up my phone and made a quick call to the same deputy who'd come earlier. "Hey, officer," I said quietly, "remember that lady you told me to watch out for? She's here right now, breaking my gate." 10 minutes later, red and blue lights flashed down the dirt road. Karen froze, crowbar in hand. The deputy stepped out, shining his flashlight right on her. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "put that tool down." Her eyes went wide. No, you don't understand. This road belongs to us. He's lying." The deputy shook his head slowly. "We've already checked. This property is his. You're trespassing and damaging private property." I walked out, calm as ever. "Karen, you could have just knocked." She glared at me like she wanted to burn a hole through my chest. "You tricked me," she screamed. I smirked slightly. "No, you just never read the law." The deputy handcuffed her while she shouted about her HOA rights, demanding to speak to the board president. It would have been funny if it weren't so pathetic. When they finally drove her off, I stood there watching the lights fade into the distance, the cold wind brushing against the new lock she'd tried to break. The next morning, I sent the camera footage to the county office and my lawyer. A week later, I got a call. Karen was being charged with trespassing, vandalism, and impersonating county personnel from that inspection stunt. Turns out she'd forged those documents herself. The HOA board dropped her the same day. Her husband quietly put their house up for sale 2 weeks later. I replaced my old wooden gate with a steel one, automatic, camera-linked, and Karen-proof. Every time it slides shut behind me now, it's like peace itself closing the door on her chaos. And as I stood there that evening, watching the sunset across my land, I couldn't help but smile. I didn't buy this ranch to fight anyone, but I'll be damned if I let anyone tell me what I can't build on my own soil. Because out here, the land remembers who truly owns it. And so do I.